This passage is composed in 3 layers: an ostinato on C sharp in the second violin, a note against note duet in first violin and viola, and an additional counterpoint in the cello. The ostinato on C sharp follows a 9-note rhythmic pattern, 1-1-2, 1-2, 1-2, 1-2, counted in 1/8 notes. Its total duration is 13 1/8 notes, so it virtually never aligns with a notated downbeat. It is heard 11 times in the passage, including a partial statement toward the end, and it has the effect of a slightly irregular heartbeat. The note against note duet involves 7 different dyads. The dyads are usually formed between the first violin and viola, occasionally doubled by either one of the notes in the additional line in the cello, or by the ostinato C sharp in the second violin. But sometimes the situation is a bit more complicated, with a note left over from a previous dyad or other instrumental complications. Dyad number 5 is particularly vulnerable in this way. As a progression of dyads, there are basically 4 gestures in the passage and the beginning of a 5th, each beginning with dyad number 1 and progressing in a mostly orderly way through the remaining dyads. Here is the progression of 7 dyads. The dyads originate in a layered presentation of 2 compound interval cycles, 6-4 and 8-2. The intervals within the dyads are always 7 or 5. The whole pattern would involve 12 dyads before returning to its starting point, but the music uses only the first 7 dyads. Each line traverses one of the 2 whole tone scales twice, and the whole complex involves a sequential pattern in which a pair of dyads is transposed down 2 semitones each time. In this array, the upper melody alternates intervals of 6 and 4 and moves entirely within one of the two whole tone scales. The lower melody alternates intervals 8 and 2 and moves entirely within the other whole tone scale. Together, the melodies produce harmonic dyads that are always either perfect fifths, interval 7, or perfect fourths, interval 5. As noted, the progression is basically a harmonic sequence, moving down a whole tone, interval 2, each time. The first pair of dyads moves down a whole tone to the second pair of dyads, and down another whole tone to the third pair, and so on to the end of the array. As noted, the music uses only the first 7 dyads of the array. The fifth dyad is problematic in the music because its C sharp simply doubles the ostinato tone. In response, the music often retains A from the fourth dyad. The seventh dyad, EB, is represented by B alone, without its expected partner, E. To these two musical strands, dyads in the first violin and viola, and a C-sharp ostinato in the second violin, the cello adds an additional counterpoint, consisting of just a few notes. Its C-sharp doubles the ostinato tone. Its B-flat doubles a tone from dyad 1. Its B natural is sometimes a part of dyad 2, but otherwise is a bit harder to digest and is probably best understood as a representative of dyad 7. Later in the passage, the cello A is a trailing reminder of dyad 4. Its D is part of dyad 6 and is heard with C sharp in both the cello and the ostinato. The cello's final F sharp is part of the final dyad of the passage, dyad number 2, the same dyad from which it derived B natural several times earlier in this passage. So the cello jumps in intermittently to offer support to the other strands. The dyads are heard in conjunction with the ostinato C sharp. Resulting in a progression of 6 trichords. The first 5 trichords are members of set class 037 or 027, which can be thought of as the dyadic perfect fifth, together with either an added third or an added whole tone. The sixth and final trichord is a member of set class 016, a perfect fifth plus a semitone. Here are the 6 chords produced by the combination of the 2 melodies and the ostinato C sharp. The final chord represents a dissonation and intensification of the harmony, as well as a cadential coagulation that marks the end of this section of the music.